Would you wear all your favorite hats at the same time? Well, we wouldn't either. That is why we suggest you use only what you need. Switch off all electrical appliances and lights in our newsrooms. Remember, use only what you need and save power today. Switch and save. Zesco, powering the nation.
Apple Max. Take it to the max.
In my family, we strive to be responsible in order to ensure the well-being of our family. In the same way, I encourage my family to vote because it's their responsibility to do so as citizens.
That's right. It is our responsibility to elect our leaders without influence from our families or anyone else.
You have the right to vote. Use it.
We will vote.
Will you?
Vote in the presidential election on the 20th of January 2015, starting from 06 hours to 18 hours. Carry your voters and green national registration card to be able to vote. The Electoral Commission of Zambia. Your vote, your right, your voice. Support peaceful elections.
Want to just get out of town with your friends and family? Are you having a corporate getaway and have no adequate transport? Then this here is what you need to listen to. A brand new 35-seater Yutong luxury bus is now up for hire at an affordable and negotiable rate. It comes fully equipped with aircon, TV for your relaxation, music soothing your trip, and DVD players to give you variety. Book now by calling 0955 0966 or 977 844 141.
What makes the new Yo-Yo Chipsy so unique? 100% natural ingredients. Nothing artificial. Just a pure experience of freshness. Chipsy potato chips. We know you'll love them.
Hey girl, what's your name? Let me talk to you for just a minute. Where you live and what you like to do?
Apple Max, baby. You need to give me Apple Max, baby.
Okay, I'm just trying to get with someone real cause you look so free, so let's chill. Have a drink with a guy like me.
Apple Max, baby. You need to give me Apple Max, baby.
A quality product from Californian Beverages.
Dear Jungle.
Hello and a warm welcome to Prime Television's main news. My name is Martha Namanje to take you through the bulletin. To begin, here are the headlines. PF postponed Northern Province rallies citing lack of transport. Kalumbila Mine says it is on course in compensating affected residents. Yali challenges political parties to clearly explain their manifestos to the electorate. In international news, several flooding hit Southeast Asia. Plus, in sports news, Samuel Matete elected interim president. Those are the headlines in the news. Join me shortly with the details. Thank you so much for joining us, and now the Prime Television's menus in detail. The ruling Patriotic Front PF has postponed all its Northern Province rallies to Monday. The rallies, which were expected to be held in Kaputa, Nsama and Mpulungu on 27th of December 2014, have been pushed to Monday, citing logistical challenges. According to a statement made available to Prime TV by Northern Province Minister Freedom Skazwe, says the postponement has been as a result of non-availability of hired planes and helicopters to be used in the campaign trail. Mr. Skazwe explains that the agent hired to make the arrangements experienced difficulties to deliver the fixed-wing plane and 2 helicopters and could only deliver them on Sunday afternoon. The entire program has since been scheduled to Monday and will go on as planned. On Monday, PF President Edgar Lungu will visit Kaputa, Nsama and Mpulungu. He will later hold rallies in Mbala and Mungwe on Tuesday, 30th December 2014. He will also proceed to Mpika, Chinsali and Isoka on Wednesday, 31st December 2014. And former Lusaka Mayor Daniel Tsenga has urged all PF members to go flat out and campaign for the party. In a Facebook post on his page, Mr. Tsenga observes that time is running out for the PF before the January 20th presidential election, hence the need for all members to play a role in campaigning for the party. And Mr. Tsenga says that in as much as social media is an effective tool, people in rural areas do not have access to information on social media. He says real campaign is for party structures, supporters, sympathizers and the entire leadership to get to the grassroots and sell the party's vision and successes. Mr. Tsenga has further announced that he has procured 15 bicycles to be used in the campaigns. A 12-year-old girl of Kampirimposhi has fled her grandmother's place, citing continued abuse. Susan Nachize explains that her grandmother is in a habit of physically abusing her, even when she has not committed any offense. Susan, who is currently being kept by a Good Samaritan of Kanyama compound, says she came to Lusaka in search of her mother, but has failed to locate her whereabouts. She explains that her mother used to sell vegetables at Soweto Market, but upon her return, her mother's stand is currently occupied by somebody else. And the woman keeping the girl, Peggy Count, has appealed to anyone who knows the child to go to Kanyama police station, where the matter has been reported.
Warikana banani wambia ubibale kumba yafaya wanyina waiswa msenje ashe kumakukapilia mlekwa tunaweka kwa mtandaoni so kuma kwa shile pa Tuesday bana tokula wasanga so shina shile kutu na shile kwa tinta fisho kwa tinbana kwa kwa tukumfa kwa tumwanzi na kwa sikuna kete kutisha ndio kwa samsung.
The National Restoration Party, NAREP, says it will ensure it empowers the women and youths once voted into power in the January 20th presidential election. NAREP District Vice Information and Publicity Secretary Brian Pundu says women and youths have been marginalized as they are victims of unemployment. He says once voted into power, NAREP will ensure it distributes 10% of the country's expenditure to the women and youths as empowerment fund. He has further added that NAREP is the only political party with a clear vision of empowerment, adding that Zambians should rally behind its leader Elias Chipimo is the only leader that can bring economic liberty for the country.
A lot of billions, a lot of millions in dollars. So we shall make sure that 10% of that expenditure in every year shall be distributed to the women and the youth so that they can supply some goods to the government. And as NAREP, we have intensified our campaigns. We are in almost all the provinces, and a few provinces that has remained for us to campaign, and we appeal to all our supporters to stay focused and make sure that they campaign for us, and they make sure that they vote for Erastus Chipimo Jr., who is the only candidate who can help this Zambia to be liberated from the current poverty situation in which we are experiencing.
You're watching Prime Television's Main News with me, Martha Namanje. Just before we take a break, we are now joined in the studios by People's Party President Mike Mlongothi, who's going to take us through his analysis on the political arena and what presidential candidates are expected to do during this campaign period. You are welcome, Mr. Mlongothi.
Thank you, Martha.
The nation will be going on a presidential election on the 20th of January 2014. What is it that the 11 candidates are supposed to sell to the electorates?
Well, we're witnessing the crisscrossing of the candidates around the country, and the debates are getting more and more interesting. We would like to see them dwell more on issues that the electorate are looking for. They must psych them into believing that they are there to deliver for them. Spending time on issues that are peripheral is not the right thing. We are anxious to hear them. We want to know the programs and policies that they have for the people of Zambia. All those who have passed through this stage where they were choosing each other in the parties, I'm sure they're all ready now for the real messages. I know most often times we find they're repeating the same messages. And I think the people of Zambia are critically analyzing what is happening. We'd like to encourage them that talk to us, we want to hear you.
Okay. Maybe before you go, from time immemorial, ever since the election date is announced and the campaigns are officially launched, we get different political parties that are standing that particular election continuously giving promises to the electorate. This time around, it's the same. What is it really that these candidates should do apart from giving promises that maybe are not really fulfilled?
Well, it's part of their marketing strategies. But they must remember that the more you repeat the same things that cannot be achieved, the more boring you become. And in the process, the electorate begin to say, I don't think it's worth my attention. What they want is to hear new things. They want to see you behave like a messiah who has got a message that will overtake what their problems are. Instead of repeating the same things, we are hearing some of the repetitions that are becoming now boring. Let the electorate hear you. Come out as the man or the lady of the moment.
Okay. Now, finally, the issues of name calling among the candidates. Is it healthy for a democratic nation?
When you reach that level, then you run out of ideas. And the electorate are watching very carefully. Try to avoid to name call. Send your message. Be frank, be honest, and say things that people believe. If you're saying things that people don't believe, you're only killing yourself. Be honest, be frank, and be realistic. Don't promise heaven on earth when you know it can't happen.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mlongothi, for finding time to come and talk to us.
Thank you, Martha. Thank you.
That was the president for the People's Party, Mike Mlongothi, just giving us his analysis on the political arena and what the electorate should be ready to listen to from the political candidates. Just before we take a break, here are the local headlines again. PF postponed Northern Province rallies citing lack of transport. Kalumbila Mine says it is on course in compensating affected residents. Yali challenges political parties to clearly explain their manifestos to the electorate. Join me for these and other stories after the break.
Yeah, madam, nisiriza manzi.
No problem. It's very busy here.
Yeah, your sister. Pamangala busy. Since you are nakuziwa kapena nzaka vota kwa presidential elections.
Huh? Don't tell me. You can't afford to miss out on your right to vote. Elections are a time for you to choose a leader of your choice.
Your boy, Susie, but voting is important.
You need to vote if you want to put a leader of your choice in power.
Oh, okay. But vamene makamba vapanga sense. Anyway, since 14 station maningi time, your car is ready.
Zikomo, the car looks great. I'll bring it here again for another wash.
No problem. As long as it is not on 20th January, because I'll be voting.
Vote in the presidential election on the 20th of January 2015, starting from 06 hours to 18 hours. Carry your voters and green national registration card to be able to vote. The Electoral Commission of Zambia. Your vote, your right, your voice. Support peaceful elections.
Would you wear all your favorite hats at the same time? Well, we wouldn't either. That is why we suggest you use only what you need. Switch off all electrical appliances and lights in our newsrooms. Remember, use only what you need and save power today. Switch and save. Zesco, powering the nation.
What's your name? Let me talk to you for just a minute. Where you live and what you like to do?
Apple Max, baby. You need to give me Apple Max, baby.
Okay, I'm just trying to get with someone real cause you look so free. So let's chill, have a drink with a guy like me.
Apple Max, baby. You need to give me Apple Max, baby.
A quality product from Californian Beverages.
Potato sticks, freaky fries. Get that awesome crunch.
We now continue with the Prime Television's main news. Kalumbila Mine Limited in Solwezi District has announced that it is on course with compensating and resettling all the 570 families that were affected by the construction of its Sentinel mine in Northwestern Province. Mine Resettlement and Engagement Manager Gareth Laperman has disclosed that the company is constructing decent houses in additional to 4 acres land for their farming. Mr. Laperman says the process is in accordance with the approval of the company's resettlement action plan by the Zambia Environmental Management Authority ZEMA of 15 October 2013. And Mr. Laperman has announced that the company will continue to interact with the community by helping them improve their livelihood. The Sentinel mine, already in operation, is expected to produce 300,000 metric tons of copper per year.
Zambian Environmental Management Agency actually listed some conditions of approval that they, as the agency representing government, deemed to be necessary for the company to implement on the resettlement. And some examples of those conditions are we were required to add an additional room to every house for the displaced community. We were also required to provide every displaced farmer with 4 hectares of replacement land. So that was what government deemed to be areas that we could improve on the resettlement action plan. So there's been an extensive consultative process. The baseline condition has been compared with what people are getting as compensation, and in every area, health, livelihoods, standard of the living environment, household structures, there's always a measurable improvement on the baseline condition.
The Young African Leaders Initiative, YALI, has challenged presidential candidates to come up with a well-defined roadmap for the country. YALI President Andrew Ntewewe says it is not enough for presidential candidates to be going around the country making promises without a clearly defined roadmap on how they will implement their plans. Mr. Ntewewe has further cautioned presidential candidates to stop making promises, adding that people want to know how they will be liberated and not given promises that are never fulfilled. He has since added that YALI they would like to see a situation where presidential candidates put a time frame to all their promises as to how and when they would achieve them.
So our view is the fact that let our political leaders come up with plans to say this is how the plan is going to be. Insofar as we are concerned, a plan must be time-bound. A plan must have clearly defined milestones. In February, when I'm elected, this is what I'm going to do. In March, I will be able to achieve this. By September, I will do this. That's what we want to hear. Because that's what we do in civil society. Even when we talk to our partners, they don't give us money without action plans. We give action plans. So this is the way it's supposed to go. So if our political leaders say that they are our servants and that they are going to do things according to the way we want them to be done, we challenge them to say, can you give us a plan? And say, this is the way we are going to do it. Without the plan, that's simply rhetoric.
The National Association for Medium and Small-Scale Contractors President Mutale Mpepo has called on the incoming government not to allow the offering of construction contracts to unqualified contractors. Mr. Mpepo says inasmuch as cadres play a vital role in political arena, they should not be rewarded with jobs they are not qualified for. He has noted that for a country to have well-developed infrastructure, it needs licensed contractors to develop the country. He has called on local contractors to continue working tirelessly and compete with foreign contractors as to be recognized in the country.
This system of just using cadres should come to an end. Cadres, yes, they are your helpers. They do a lot of things. There is a way you can help them in as far as development of the country is concerned. Supposing you give them maybe supply of beans to prisons, supply of food stuff to, institutions. Are you not rewarding them? Supposing you give them now today to construct a road and it's full of potholes after 2-3 days. Are we not wasting resources? Are we not putting the lives of the citizens at risk? Let us give cadres what belongs to them, not in the construction industry. This is very important. The president who is coming, please take note of this. Let contractors, real contractors, our members, do the construction works. Not by you rewarding them by giving them construction issues. You are making a mistake.
You're still watching Prime Television's main news. Join me after the break with a roundup of international news as well as sports news.
Have you lost your voter's card? Is your voter's card defaced or damaged? If so, you can replace your voter's card during the Voters Card Replacement Exercise from the 28th of December 2014 to the 3rd of January 2015. During this exercise, 4 rural centers will be opened in every rural constituency and 3 centers will be opened in every urban constituency. Voters who have lost their cards will need to present a police report and their green national registration card in order to collect a new voter's card. Voters whose cards are defaced or damaged will have to produce the damaged card and their green national registration card before a new card can be issued to them. During this exercise, no new voters will be registered and no transfers will be effected for voters that have moved to a different location. Furthermore, the Commission will not extend the voter card replacement exercise beyond January the 3rd, 2015.
For further information, contact the office of the district electoral officer in your respective districts, who are town clerks and council secretaries. Vote in the presidential election on the 20th of January 2015, starting from 06 hours to 18 hours. Carry your voters and green national registration card to be able to vote. The Electoral Commission of Zambia. Your vote, your right, your voice. Support peaceful elections.
Apple Max. Take it to the max.
What makes the new Yo-Yo Chipsy so unique? 100% natural ingredients. Nothing artificial. Just a pure experience of freshness. Chipsy potato chips. We know you'll love them.
And now in international news. Several flooding has killed 13 people and left at least 180,000 displaced in Malaysia and neighboring Thailand, officials said. In Malaysia, rescue teams on Saturday were struggling to reach areas in northeast as victims accused the government of being slow to provide aid and assistance after the country's worst flooding in decades. Malaysians have vented their anger at Prime Minister Najib Razak after the release of photos which went viral on social media showing him playing golf with U.S. President Barack Obama during the storms. The number of people forced to flee their homes climbed past 120,000, with weather forecasters warning of no respite for northeastern states. More than 184,000 households have been affected by the floods and nearly 8,000 displaced, according to the department. The former First Lady of the Ivory Coast, Simone Bagbo, has gone on trial for her alleged role in post-election violence in 2010. The trial of the 65-year-old and 82 civilian and military supporters of her husband, former President Roland Gbagbo, began under heavy security on Friday and was broadcast on radio. The post-election violence erupted in Abidjan after Gbagbo refused to concede power to his rival, Alassane Ouattara, who was declared the winner of the polls. About 3,000 people died in the violence that was widely viewed as avoidable and as Gbagbo had stepped down. And finally, in international news, for more on these and other stories, we monitored Al Jazeera.
The former First Lady of Ivory Coast has appeared in court for her alleged role in the violence that followed the 2010 election. Simone Bagbo faces a maximum of life imprisonment and remains under house arrest. Her husband, former President Laurent Gbagbo, lost the 2010 election but tried to retain control, leading to the fighting. 3,000 people were killed during the unrest. He is awaiting trial at the International Criminal Court on charges of crimes against humanity. More than 1,000 migrants attempting to reach Italy have been rescued in the Mediterranean over the past 3 days. The Italian Navy says the asylum seekers were rescued in 4 separate operations off the coast of Sicily. 5 bodies were recovered. According to the UN Refugee Agency, more than 3,000 migrants have died at sea this year. Most of them come from North Africa and the Middle East. Sweden's government has called off plans to hold a snap election in March. The decision comes after Prime Minister Stefan Löfven reached an agreement with opposition parties over a budget proposal. Earlier this month, Löfven had to call for early polls after losing a budget vote. The far-right Sweden Democrats sided with the opposition against his plans. Under the New Deal, Löfven will have to follow a spending plan put together by his political opponents. The Japanese government has approved a $29 billion stimulus package to help pull the economy out of a recession. The new budget was endorsed by the cabinet of Prime Minister Shinzo Abe after he took office for a third term on Wednesday. Now, Abe is facing strong pressure to help restore growth in the world's third largest economy.
Finally, in the news in sports, the Zambia Amateur Athletics Association ZA has elected former world 400 meters champion and 1996 Olympic Games silver medalist Samuel Matete as its interim president amid leadership wrangles in the association. This comes after the Lusaka High Court granted Matete and 4 others an injunction restraining ZA from barring them from contesting for any position in the annual general election. Matete was elected interim president by a majority vote by 25 ZA affiliate clubs at the AGM held on Saturday at the Mulungoshi International Conference Center. Others elected include Christopher Banda as interim vice president, Yona Mwale secretary general, Judy Chaongopa as deputy secretary general. Others are David Manyando, Karo Mokola, Anderson Katongo and Mlenga Chipoma as treasurer and interim committee members respectively. Meanwhile, the Elias Mbondela-led executive held a parallel meeting at Longacres Lodge. But ZA General Secretary Phil Kubombela says the election will not be recognized due to court matters.
And also what the Constitution guides, we are resolved that an interim committee be put in place. And indeed, an interim committee has been put in place. The presidency has gone to no other than the former world champion at 400 meters hurdles at the Tokyo Olympics, Mr. Samuel Matete.
Had to do what we had to do according to our, the advice. And I have no doubt that this team will deliver. You know, athletics is suffering in this country at the moment, and I have no doubt that we can change it. I believe in this team.
That sporting item brings us to the end of the news, but just before we go, here are the headlines again. PF postponed Northern Province rallies citing lack of transport. Kalumbila Mine says it is on course in compensating affected residents. Yali challenges political parties to clearly explain their manifestos to the electorate. In international news, several flooding hit Southeast Asia. And finally, in sports, Samuel Matete elected interim ZA president. That's all we had on our main news bulletin. Thank you so much for your time, but for more on these and other stories, you can log on to our website. That's www.ptvzambia.com. My name is Mathana Manje, and on behalf of the entire news production team, it's goodbye for now and God bless.
Hi, I was just checking up some information on the Electoral Commission of Zambia website. Did you know that the Electoral Commission of Zambia has set January 20th, 2015 as the date for the presidential election? Remember that in order to vote, you'll need your green national registration card and your voter's card. Voting is the constitutional right of every Zambian citizen. Exercise your right by voting for the presidential candidate of your choice on January 20th, 2015.
Vote in the presidential election on the 20th of January 2015, starting from 06 hours to 18 hours. Carry your voters and green national registration card to be able to vote. The Electoral Commission of Zambia. Your vote, your right, your voice. Support peaceful elections.
Hey girl, what's your name? Let me talk to you for just a minute. Where you live and what you like to do?
Apple Max, baby. You need to give me Apple Max, baby.
Okay, I'm just trying to get with someone real cause you look so free. So let's chill, have a drink with a guy like me.
Apple Max, baby. You need to give me Apple Max, baby.
A quality product from Californian Beverages.
Potato sticks, freaky fries. Get that awesome crunch.
Would you wear all your favorite hats at the same time? Well, we wouldn't either. That is why we suggest you use only what you need. Switch off all electrical appliances and lights in unused rooms. Remember, use only what you need and save power today. Switch and save. Zesco, powering the nation.